So now it's time to talk about how to go back on offense. It is time now for some rules for defiance. As we show you there, a classic picture of the Boston Tea Party. We have for you 10 commandments or rules for defiance. And they're placed in this order on purpose. Commandment number 1. Assume you're being lied to. Assume that the system you're up against lies about everything. Absolutely everything. Truth is chloroformed in real time in our culture. So practice discernment. Assume every narrative you are fed, no matter from which direction. Assume, including this show. Don't just take our words for it. That's why we left you all the footnotes. Check our footnotes on your own. Assume every narrative is a lie. Just to be on the safe side, start there. So number 1, commandment 1 here in rules for defiance, assume you're being lied to. Commandment number 2, therefore, take being informed more seriously than ever before. Fill the vacuum left by rejecting the fake news narratives with the best information you can find. Remember, there is wisdom, a best-selling book once said, there's wisdom in a multitude of counsel. Rely on as many sources as you can. That's what I do. You look at my Twitter feed, it's a hodgepodge. It's a motley crew of news sources from varying political perspectives. I pit them against each other every day as I begin formulating where I get my own information from to do this program. I would also recommend you do the same. Play them off one another. See if there's verifiable information you can rely on within more than one source. And also, don't just fall for outlandish clickbait that suits your narrative either. Plenty of grifters that want to take advantage of us on our own side here. Don't fall for that. Commandment 3. You know, we talked a few weeks ago on the show about the importance of meekness. Maintain meekness or power under control. Before we take back our power as a people, we have to remember how to wield it. We don't throw tantrums. In our anger, we do not sin. We use instead our anger to motivate us to righteous action. We don't seek vengeance. We don't hate. That doesn't mean we're not aggressive. We're non-confrontational. Listen to this show for 10 minutes. You'll accuse us of many things. Non-confrontational will not be one of them. It doesn't mean we're unwilling to boldly and unapologetically stand for what we believe. But remember, we're to be the antidote to the poison that's rotting away at our culture, not another poison. Poison times poison is just more poison. 0 times 0 is just more of the zero. We're not the Bolsheviks versus the Mensheviks or vice versa. No winner in that story. Nor are we the mob storming the Bastille to unleash later on a reign of terror. We're not that either. Maintain control of our frustration, of our anger. Maintain control. Those things can empower us to do bold deeds. Righteous causes when they're under control. Commandment 4. Never abandon your motivations. The Lord chastens those whom he loves. We discipline our children because we love them. In both cases, the motivation for correction, even when it's stern, is to bring people to correction or repentance, redemption, restoration, whichever terminology you prefer. I kind of like all those words. We don't want to annihilate our neighbors. We want to win them. Therefore, our tactics need to never undermine our motivations. Commandment 5. Know thy enemy, and hint, it's probably not your neighbor. The real enemy here is the spirit of the age, a manifestation of forces seeking to end Western civilization as it's been known for centuries. American exceptionalism, just sort of its own variant, I guess we'll say. of Western civilization. Many of those who are plugged into the matrix and annoying the hell out of us right now, they don't know that they're actually being victimized. I got a great note last night from a gentleman who gave our book, Fauci and Bargain, to a liberal neighbor of his that he liked. And he just was sad to see him even outdoors, man, like double masking, triple masking, afraid of his shadow. And he said, brother, just do me a favor. You read this. Give me one of your crazy books, man. I'll read it if you want. I'll trade you. Just read this. And if you find something you think is factually inaccurate, bring it to my attention. But other than that, I hope it helps you. And his neighbor read it. And little by little, now his neighbor is outdoors again without a mask, hanging out, doing stuff with his kids again outdoors. See? The Son of Man came to seek and save that which is lost. That's what we're trying to do here, too, to emulate that. So we want to unplug as many people as we can from the matrix. We want to free people from the spirit of the age and encourage them to be free as they were created to be. Commandment number 6. So we have checked all of our motivations, right? Now it's a time to mobilize to action with our motivations in their proper context. Commandment number 6, feed the sheep and shoot the wolves, metaphorically speaking, of course. Mercy triumphs over judgment for the sheep. However, we give no quarter to the wolves. Now, how do you tell the difference between sheep and wolves? Well, sheep just don't know any better. Wolves don't want to know any better. They know what they're doing. They know who they are. Sheep are ignorant and thus deceived. Wolves are willful deceivers. And remember Augustine's charge, there are many sheep without, but many wolves within. Confronting wolves is how we set the captives free. Confront the wolves. So the analogy I just gave you from the guy that emailed us the other day about his giving our book to a panic porn stricken member of his neighborhood, that guy took the information, processed it, and is now figuring out what he thinks about it. Making some changes, not making some changes, but he's thinking his way through it. Feed the sheep. Now, if you've handed him that book, though, and he would have looked at it and said, this is total conspiratorial trash, I don't want your right-wing blather, that's a wolf. He'll infect the rest of your neighborhood if he goes unconfronted. The sheep just don't know. The wolf doesn't want to know. He knows he's a wolf. Commandment 7. Civil disobedience now to hopefully avoid civil war later. Our culture is headed down a road to nowhere here, which is exactly what the spirit of the age that hates us wants. It doesn't care if it's globalism, progressivism, patriotism, nationalism, whichever ism on anywhere in the spectrum. If it can ultimately take us down that road to nowhere and end us, the spirit of the age is happy. If we don't act on what we believe now, we may be forced to act on it in ways that inflict much more collateral damage later. I'd like to avoid that. I think many of you would too. So we defy now so that we don't have to divide later. And never forget, civil disobedience to tyrants is obedience to God. There is only one God, ma'am, and he doesn't dress like that. You don't owe and are not owed and own my breath. You don't own and are not owed my allegiance. I will render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, but I will only render unto God that which is his. When you ask me for something that belongs only to him, my answer is no. That's it. It's a flat no. I won't comply. And I'll dare you to do your worst. If we're not prepared to do that now, on the path we're on, our children may have to do worse later on. Commandment 8, we need to come together here. A triple braided cord is tougher to break. We are better together. We were meant to be together. Therefore, we should push back together. Class action lawsuits, not one church or one parent by themselves. Acts of mass defiance to both big government and big business, not just singular free agents that can be scared off or carried off. Work together, coordinate together, serve together. Show the spirit of the age. There's more of us than it thought. And you'll be surprised how many of your friends and family will then want to join the side they think is winning that they're too scared to sign up for now. Commandment 9, shame the shamers. Right now, the spirit of the age gets to act with impunity, no matter how ridiculous or despotic it may be. That needs to change. Bullies only stop when they bleed too, metaphorically speaking. The bully's perceived power comes from the confidence no one will confront them. Take that confidence away. Act on the confidence of your convictions instead. Make the bullies infamous. Take the mask off the spirit of the age and show the world what's truly underneath that kilt. There's no there. It's all bluster. This will likely require some form of suffering at some point for some of us. We must be willing to pay the price the spirit of the age will force us to pay. The story of Telemachus, the monk who ended the gladiator games in Rome, is an example of this. The civil rights movement's an example of this. But if we're not willing to offend the spirit of the age will remain on offense. Commandment 10, take yes for an answer. Accept assistance and support from non-traditional sources and people, including those who vehemently have disagreed with us in the past and may still now on fundamental issues. Accept apologies and reconciliation with those who previously were citizens of Karanstan and want out. Do not muzzle the ox while it treads its grain. Whoever is for us at this moment isn't against us, and whoever isn't against us at this moment is for us. Take yes for an answer. Our list of allies grows thin, Aragorn. Take yes for an answer. All of you within the sound of my voice now, it is time for you to be Aragorn. You've hidden out like a ranger, doing random acts of principle, voting, maybe putting something on social media, talking to a neighbor maybe every now and then. But you've been on the outskirts of where the fire really rages the hottest. And part of it is you may be afraid to step into that light. Do I have what it takes? Can the answer really be me? Can I really be a change agent? Somebody told me recently, sent me an email, their family members told them one person can't make a difference. They've obviously never read a history book. I'm your Elrond. I'm handing you the sword. You're Aragorn. Become the people you were meant and born to be.